it's 6 o'clock. We'll call this special council meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge.
I got my flag here.
Yeah, go ahead, Tommy. Tommy, lead us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Roll call, Kathy, please.
Carter.
Here.
Walther.
Here.
Epperson.
Here.
Barstow.
Here.
Hampshire.
Here.
Lee.
here.
Okay, we have a quorum present. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to consider the applications for one open council position for the 4th Ward and to hold an executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 121.22G1 to consider the appointment of public officials and to fill the vacancy on council. We have one participant who is here with us tonight that will be interviewing live, and then we have the other candidate is through technology, and we'll be interviewing him. And we have one council member who is also on his computer, and we're talking to him live. So first of all, I guess we're still not having citizens' comments until we get that all worked out, but we'll move into the interviews, and I will pass off the gavel to Council President Todd Barstow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's a corona-free gavel, I assume.
Yes.
And thank you. The Mayor stated the purpose. So our first interview is with Jennifer Ashbrook. I believe Ms. Ashbrook is here live. So there she is. Ms. Ashbrook, if you come up and sit in the chair that's sort of up front here. Thank you. So I think we're all familiar. You interviewed with us a few months ago for the at-large seat, so we're sort of familiar with the procedure. But if you just state your name and then give us maybe a little opening statement about why you're interested in the seat, and then I know council will have some questions. Thank you.
My name is Jennifer Ashbrook, and my husband and I have lived
And
over here.
just please keep your voice, because I hear yelling, okay?
Okay.
Like you're yelling.
Oh, like I'm
But-
yelling, okay.
Yes, it's okay.
Okay.
We had some comments last time. The microphone doesn't always pick things up, so go ahead and just yell. It's okay.
Okay. My name is Jennifer Ashbrook, and my husband Dwayne and I have lived or worked here in Pataska for 25 years. Very active in our community, part of the Lions Club, and a past president of the Chamber of Commerce, treasurer of the Chamber of Commerce, treasurer of the Lions Club, Pataska Lions Club, many things that we can do to increase and help our community, we try and do.
Thank you. I'm going to ask, Tommy, can you hear us okay?
I can.
Okay, very good. Mr. Galen, can you hear us okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks. Make sure everybody can hear. Okay, so I'll open up to questions from council. And again, council members, make sure, just like you're yelling, because we got to pick everything up. Thanks. Anybody have any questions?
Ray, was your position with the chamber a volunteer position where you just volunteered to do it, or were you elected to it?
I was elected to it.
Any other questions? Mr. Lee, any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Ms. Ashbrook, I do have a question. I understand that you have some problems with the internet, or you don't have internet access. Is that accurate?
I do not have internet at my house.
At your
I have
house?
it at my work.
Okay, okay. All right.
Getting online isn't a problem
Okay,
as far as that. I was
Okay.
just a little nervous about the whole Facebook thing. I've never done that, and I
Okay.
didn't want to be unprepared.
sure. Okay, I understand. All right. Anybody else have any questions for Ms.
Todd,
Ashbrook?
just to repeat that real quick, I think I heard that she has it at work but not at home. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Correct. I have it on my phone, but
Okay.
not direct into my house.
Okay,
I-
okay.
I-
Tommy, any questions from that?
Yeah, I would just ask if appointed to this position, would that be any hindrance? Would you consider Or would you just be able to do your work from home? Because there's a lot of stuff that we do through email, or would you just do it all from your phone?
I could do it from my phone, or I don't have a problem getting internet. It's just not something that my husband and I have had the time to enjoy at home. So we're out doing things all the time.
Okay, fair enough.
I actually do have a couple questions. I'm trying to remember in that marathon of interviews when we did it. I don't quite recall some of the answers, but what is your opinion on development, both commercial, residential, and growth within Pataskla? And then a follow-up question, what do you see as the largest or the biggest issue that Pataskla faces?
I'm a strong economic development person. I want to see more light manufacturing, less residents, I guess. We need to eliminate some of that tax burden on our citizens, and I think if we had more businesses and manufacturing, we could do that.
Okay, and how would you, if you had, the power to do so, what would be like a economic start for you?
Well, I think that, by watching the other day, I did learn that, you guys are looking at filling an economic development spot here for a person that would be willing to take on that, and I think that would be a great start for the city to have someone that was just dedicated to that.
And to the follow-up question, what do you see as the largest issue within Pataskla?
Economic development.
I had a question from something that Dustin asked then. So when you're saying you'd like to see more manufacturing and less residents, do you mean less residents that are already here or less coming in?
Less coming in, we need to concentrate on businesses and manufacturing.
So I have a question on the economic development. So where would you, in terms of maybe locations, where would you like to see more manufacturing slash business?
Well, I think that our comprehensive plan that we're working on is a good place to keep in mind that we've already got those places picked out and things. Part of the project up here on Edgewater Way
At the park.
and Parkway would be the greatest place that we could start
Okay,
and do more. there.
okay, the corporate park or?
Yes.
Okay, what about outside of the corporate park?
There's other places that are listed in our comprehensive plan, and I would hope that we would use our comprehensive plan to move forward on those things.
Okay,
And keeping it updated is very important.
okay, okay. Have you reviewed, obviously you looked at the comprehensive
Yes.
plan then? Okay, very
Yes.
good, okay, that's good. Anybody, any other questions? I have a couple more. Ms. Carter? Go ahead, I've asked, go ahead.
Okay, so we have a great deal of developers coming in with housing proposals that we are constantly working on. So what, and we can't simply just say no to everybody. So what type of residential development are you in favor of?
I mean, we have to have them, and they're part of our comprehensive plan. And so, we've planned for this, and we should continue to plan for it, and that plan is going to change over time. But we would have to review that and go through the right process.
Sidewalks,
Yes.
safety, good for safety, or a plan to force us all to live in apartments? Which one?
I'm sorry, I'm confused.
Sidewalks.
Sidewalks.
Sidewalks, are they a safety issue that make the city more safe? Or are they a plan to force us all to live in small apartments?
Well, I think they're a safety issue.
Okay? The police tax, that's on the ballot whenever the election happens,
Yes.
okay? The increase, want or need?
Need.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? No? 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 Mr. Lee? Any
I don't.
Nothing? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Ashbrook, appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so the other candidate is Brandon Galick. Mr. Galick, can you still hear us okay?
It's a little bit muffled on my end, but I can still hear.
Okay, do we need to speak
I'm
louder?
doing my best.
Or what?
What'd you say?
Do we need to speak up, speak louder, or what's the
Yeah,
problem?
it's louder.
Louder? Okay, I can do that, all right? So,
I know you can.
I can. No one's ever complained because they can't hear me. All right. So, Mr. Galick, again, you were interviewed with us before. So, again, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we're going to ask you some questions, I'm sure. Thank you.
Brandon Galick, I'm at 257 South Main Street. I was born and raised here. I currently serve on the BCAA, and I'm on the Licking County Transit Board, so I just want to keep getting involved in the community and represent my ward.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Any member of council have any questions?
Brandon, I'd like to start with the same question I offered to Ms. Ashbrook. With regards to development, both residential, business, what do you see is the greatest need within the city of Pataskala within those realms?
The biggest need within development?
Yes.
Okay. I think with the residential, I think we need to do it responsibly. The infrastructure is what is most impacted by this growth. So I think with, the police fund coming up and with our infrastructure, I think that's the most important thing with our economic growth. So I'm not against it whatsoever. I think it's done right. It's definitely going to happen. He's doing the camera.
Hang on a minute.
You don't have to see us, you just have to hear us.
I think it's a little bit better moved around too.
Oh, we're making him seasick.
What would you say?
He's right, when you move the camera and who's talking, you can hear that person better.
On the side, you're just muffled out on the sides.
Okay. Speak up, people.
With regards to the residential development, we, as Ms. Carter mentioned in a question a few moments ago, we're getting hit and bombarded by developers wanting cluster-type housing versus kind of what the code calls for. In your opinion, is cluster-type housing necessary in all cases or at all?
I don't think it is. I think it makes it tougher to kind of keep with what we want to look like as a city. And I think it makes more rooftops, which puts more, people in schools and more strain on our infrastructure. So I think that cluster type of housing just puts more strain on the city as a whole.
Thank you.
Mr. Walther.
Brandon, on the cluster, just to make sure, I know you're, as a realtor and familiar with housing developments in general, I think what we were talking about here wasn't necessarily intensifying the density on a parcel,
Gotcha.
but making them smaller areas and keeping environmentally sensitive areas undeveloped or big green spaces, that kind of stuff. So would you mind just kind of maybe taking another thought on that and seeing if there is a benefit to cluster type housing because of those things? I don't know, I think you were at the meeting when the guy from Granville was here, and he stood up and talked about what they had done at Granville with the green spaces and the acreages that they were trying to preserve and conservation-wise. Is that something that you see as a benefit?
Yeah, I think cluster houses can definitely be a benefit if they're done correctly. I think with what the city is trying to do and keeping the lot sizes bigger and making it more green space and more appealing to people, I think is definitely a benefit. I mean, it has a bunch of benefits with being able to, get police and firefighters in one area to help out instead of, traveling everywhere. But there are benefits to it, yes. I was thinking more high density when Ms. Robertson was asking the question.
Okay, yeah, I was just asking you to clarify what I think about
Yeah.
housing and what we've been kind of debating. You hit the point, so that's exactly what we're debating, is the larger lots versus the smaller cluster areas with more open space. So, okay, thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? Jude.
Brandon, you said you were born and raised here. Where did you go to school?
Watkins.
We couldn't hear that.
Oh,
Watkins.
Anybody else have any questions? Questions, Mr. Mayor?
Your time on BZA, how are you finding that? Challenging, eye-opening, or is it what you expected?
It's what I expected. It's been a lot of fun. I mean, it's a lot of different things that I wasn't really, it's been all over the board right now, which I kind of like because there's a whole bunch of different problems that I get to see and kind of dive into with people, so I've really enjoyed it.
Anything you weren't expecting? Case-wise,
No.
or
What did you say?
case-wise?
There hasn't been anything too crazy so far.
All right.
Mrs. Carter?
Brandon, when I came onto council, I came specifically because of issues that I saw in my ward that I wanted to be addressed. Do you, what's your motivation to be on council, and are there any issues specifically in Ward 4 that you think need to be addressed?
Yeah, I mean, I just, from growing up here, I mean, I a historic downtown that I absolutely fell in love with, and I know there's a ton of issues down here with, you know, sewer, plumbing, drainage, wires, and I just see the potential in bringing businesses down here and helping it grow and making it look like it was historically, and keeping that historical presence.
Ms. Walter?
So Brandon, on this Lincoln County Transit Board, were you appointed to that, or is that an elected position?
It's an elected position,
Okay.
wait,
No, that was appointed. I
Okay,
appointed,
sorry. I'm
yeah.
just gonna-
appointed position.
And do you happen to be a member of any civic organizations in the community?
I can't hear you right now.
She's asking about any service groups or anything that you're involved in.
Can you move the camera just a little bit, it's just muffling.
Okay, any service groups or Lions Club or anything that you might be connected with?
In community service,
Yes,
that's much better. You can repeat again, Mayor, sorry.
yes. She's asking about anything you're involved with the community or service groups or something like that.
Those are the only two right now. But I definitely want to get more involved, and that's what I've been trying to do lately, is get more involved with activities around here.
I don't know if that answered your question.
Okay. Mr. Walther?
Actually, Jude hit exactly the question I was gonna ask. Good job, Jude.
So, Brandon, your ward is more than just the downtown, the old village. There's more to that ward. So what might be some issues in the other parts of the ward, Bright Waters, Legacy, places like that you might be aware of?
The big one I've heard lately definitely has been the rain and flooding, and trying to control that a little bit more, but I know that's been a big issue lately. That's probably the biggest one I've heard.
Okay, all right. Anybody else? Judy's got another question.
Brandon, I see that you went to school for education, but then you've taken on a career in real estate.
I have a degree in business, though.
Can you hear us, Brandon?
Yeah,
Okay, Jude, try that again.
That was really just my question, that you went to school for, I see on here, a Bachelor of Science in Education, but then you went for a career in real estate. What prompted that kind of switch over to that industry?
I was originally going to get my business degree also. Well, I got my minors in business, but trying to be a principal. But I tried it out, started teaching, and it wasn't for me. So I switched over to my other passion, which is housing and architecture.
Okay. Any other questions? Mr. Lee, you have any questions?
I do not.
How about the deer? Does the deer have any questions?
I don't think so. I'm sorry about that.
It's just, he's there, or whatever. Okay, anything else? Anybody else? Mr. Lee, one last time? Okay, Mr. Galick, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Okay, great. Stay tuned, guys. Okay. At this point, I'm going to entertain a motion to go into executive session. Anybody have such a motion?
I'll make that motion. Am I allowed to go?
No.
You need the language?
Yeah, do you have the language? I have it. Ian, do you have the language? Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to go to executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 121.22G1 to consider the appointment of a public official.
Second.
Kathy, roll please.
Carter,
Yes.
Walther,
Yes?
Epperson,
Yes.
Barstow,
Yes.
Hampshire,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Motion passes. We'll go into executive session at, time here, 6:21. We'll do that in the police conference room, and we'll be back. We'll be back, Tommy. Hang tight, we'll get you on the phone here in a minute, okay? Executive session, I need a motion to come out of executive.
Let me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chris, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you-
Countdown.
You're on the air.
Okay, need a motion to come out of executive session, please.
So moved.
Second.
Kathy, roll, please.
who was the second?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr.
They
Epperson.
said at the same time.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Epperson was the second.
Walther,
Yes?
Epperson,
Yes.
Barstow,
Yes.
Hampshire,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Okay, out of executive.
Carter.
Yes.
Out of executive session at 6:44. Okay, thank you, folks, for sticking around. Discussion on the candidates, please. Any discussion? Anything, Mr. Walther?
Todd, as I think we've had both of these candidates in front of us for many positions, many opportunities, including council. We've talked to them about many topics in the past and today. Both are very involved in the community, involved in our offices, our boards and commissions. And I definitely want to say thanks to both for being involved so much with the city. Brandon, I think that I've said this to you personally. Your work on the BZA has been very much appreciated. I've been to several of those meetings. Probably, I don't know, maybe you've been to more council meetings than I've been to BZA meetings, but definitely appreciate all your work on that. And of course, I've been liaison to the park board this year. I've watched and been very involved with Jenny and the park board in the past, so everybody appreciate all your work with everything. I know that Jenny has been very much involved in the city for several years, both civic groups and in the park board. Run for council in the past, so she's been out in her ward against Ms. Sager. Lost to Ms. Sager, but nevertheless put up a valiant fight for that. And I know, Brandon, you've been very involved in your stuff with Licking County. So this is a tough decision for me in general, but I think that whichever way it goes, will be well served.
Mrs. Carter?
I'd just like to say that I'm continually grateful that we have qualified applicants who come before us, and that we have a choice. It just shows, again, the interest in the city, the people that are involved, and how we're progressing. So I'm pleased, and I want to thank both applicants for coming out today, or coming through the video chat.
Anybody else? Mr. Epperson?
I'd like to thank both applicants. I've only been on council a short period, but in that short period, I've heard both your names frequently, so you guys are both persistent. Like Mr. Walther, it's going to be a difficult decision. You guys both have different strengths, in my opinion, but I do agree with whichever way we go, the city will be well served, so thank you both.
Well, I agree with what everyone else said. There's so much here to be proud of, and so much that we're grateful that everybody does. And having just gone through this myself just a couple weeks ago, I know what you guys are going through. So thanks for everything you do. It's greatly appreciated.
Thanks. I just have to say, this is the 6th time that I've participated in the selection of a council member because of an opening. And in thinking about that, and in looking around the room, if we make a decision this evening, I will have had an opportunity to have appointed every other member of council except for Mr. Lee. It's true. And now other folks have gone on to be Ms. Carter, Mr. Walter have gone on to be elected in their own right. But initially, just kind of an interesting observation as to how things go. So my point is, I continue to be impressed with the quality of our applicants and the citizens who come forward to want to do this job. At times, this is a very thankless job. There doesn't seem to be any winners, so you make tough decisions, and so it can be difficult. So I want to thank both applicants for coming forward again and doing this. We appreciate it, appreciate the work that both of you do on your respective boards and your activities in the community. Two very strong candidates. These are not ever easy decisions. Two very strong candidates and difficult choice to make. So, Mr. Mayor, do you have any? Nothing?
Everybody said what I would say anyway. So
Okay,
we will.
very good. Okay, thank you. So I will, at this point, entertain a motion to fill the vacancy on the Ward 4 seat. Yes, Mr. Walter.
I'd like to nominate Jenny Ashbrook for the Ward 4 seat.
Okay, we have a nomination for Ms. Ashbrook. Do we have a second? And asking again for a second. Last time for second. Mr. Walter, that motion, sorry, dies for lack of second. Do I have a motion, Mrs. Carter?
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Brandon Gillick to the Ward 4 seat for City Council.
Moved by Mrs. Galick, moved by Mrs. Carter. A second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Epperson. Kathy, call the roll, please.
Barstow,
Yes.
Hampshire,
Yes.
Lee. Lee,
Lee?
Oh, he's muted.
I read his lips.
He's muted.
He said yes,
Say
but.
it again.
He's got a thumbs up.
we
Chris,
need
the
to say it.
Yeah.
little phone is red. Does that mean we muted him from our side?
No,
Oh, okay.
it's a technical thing with his end.
Okay.
We got to hear a yes, so figure it out. Hang on, Tommy, we can't hear you. Hang on. Can you come back to him? Well, I'm sorry.
However you want to.
No, Todd's running the meeting.
Yeah, let's see if we can get Mr. Lee. I would accept a written indication. I think that's sufficient.
Did you hear that, Tommy? He said he'll take a written indication for your vote, since we can't hear you.
Got a post-it note?
I think he's looking for one.
Can we make Tiny nod or no?
Sign.
He tried thumbs up. I
Sign.
don't know if Kathy needs a verbal or written.
Usually it's a verbal.
Yeah.
But I'll take any direction somebody wants to give me.
It looks like
Guess you
he's
can
left
go-
to find a
Go away
utensil
around the rest
too.
of it.
Kathy,
Yeah.
can you continue with the roll?
Carter,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Epperson,
Yes.
We just said yes.
And Mr. Lee, move it a little bit, Tommy.
Take it back a little bit, Tommy.
There you go.
Okay,
All right.
Mr. Lee votes yes. Mr. Lee votes yes. So that motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Galick. You are the newest member of the Tustin City Council.
Did you hear that, Brandon?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. You've been committed.
So swear him in.
Next meeting. I'll swear you in at the next meeting, dude, okay?
Perfect, yep, that works.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay,
We all
turn the
done?
meeting, turn the meeting back over to the mayor. Thank you, Mayor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Barstow, and thank you for the applicants, Jenny and
Appreciate it.
Brandon. That was good stuff. Any new business that we need to?
Then we can't do anything, but this is a special meeting.
Yeah, I don't know why that's a mistake.
That was the new business,
That
you're,
was the new business. Gotcha. Okay, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Barstow, seconded by Mrs. Carter. Discussion and roll.
Hampshire,
Yes.
Lee.
Lee
Lee,
votes yes.
Yeah.
Carter,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Epperson,
Yes.
Barstow.
Yes.
Actually, we need that to say affirmative. Can you spell that, Tommy? No, I'm just kidding.
You do not want to see what he's going to put on this meeting. Thanks, Chris, thanks for
So